Javier Mendez. He's from the San Diego area. He was born and raised there, very much like our area here. Atsiri invited him to come, so he's a friend of Atsiri's from college. We're going to say thank you to Atsiri. Thank you, Atsiri. So Javier studied mechanical engineering at Cal Poly, and today he's a program developer.
Product designer.
Yeah. At Apple. And so he's going to be talking to us about his journey from being, in a community like ours to now working at Apple. So Javier, thank you for joining us.
Cool. All right, I'm going to wait. All right, hello everyone. I'm going to wait a few minutes until we bring this presentation up because it's kind of like talking points. Otherwise, I go all over the place and forget what I'm going to say. Oh, all right, cool. I don't know. Can you hear me? Is this on? No? You can't hear me? Do I got to? Hello? Smart kid.
Or you can use this one. You got it?
Hello? Oh.
That works.
Here, maybe I'll do the wireless one. Hello? All right. How are you guys all doing? All right, cool. Let me know if I'm talking too loud because it's my first time with the mic. So real quick, probably I'd say 12 to 20 years ago, I was either in your chair or sitting next to you. I'm a Latino, first generation American, first in my family to pursue college. And now I'm very fortunate and blessed to design products that millions of people across the world use every day. My name is Javier. I'm a product design engineer at Apple, but most importantly, I'm a first generation college student. So today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about my path, what I've learned on the way, a little bit of what I do at work, and my hope is that you guys hopefully learn something from me. Take what you guys learned today, take this program, and aim to do much greater things. So first, my background, where I'm from. My mom is from Zacatecas. My dad is from Monterrey. My mom, I think she was in 4th grade when she had to drop out to go work with her family in the fields. My dad, I think, almost made it to high school. And they both moved to Tijuana. And I think back in the 80s, there was a farm workers amnesty, and that's how they were able to get the residency and go over to San Diego, which is where they met, where I was born. I have a younger brother. He's about 18 years old, so he's a senior in high school right now. And then I went to school over in Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, which I'll talk a little bit more later on in my presentation. Now I'm here. A little bit more about myself, my interest. I love playing soccer. I've played soccer my whole life. I was obsessed with chess for about 2 years in college, in high school, and I've been playing it ever since. I love learning, which is like really weird to say, and I know that maybe you don't understand it quite yet, but the more you start learning new things, you realize how little you actually know. So as you get older, you get more curious, and I actually enjoy learning a lot nowadays. Technology, I've always been drawn to technology. That was the model of my first computer that my dad bought me. It had like a CD burner, and it was really cool. I had no idea how to use it, but I learned how to use it. Hustling, that's a big part of me and defines who I am. To me, hustling is being a problem solver, and this goes back to how I was raised. My parents, when I was growing up, every weekend we'd go to yard sales, try and buy stuff, sell it over in Mexico or sell it in swap meet. Growing up, my dad always tried a bunch of different business ideas. In high school, I was the kid that sold churritos, Mexican candy, Gatorades. That was me. And in college, I didn't sell anything, but just last year, actually, I was actually selling Power Wheels. So I like Toys R Us was going out of business, so I bought a bunch of toys and resold them all on Craigslist. So it's very much hustling and kind of being a problem solver and figuring out how to identify creative solutions to problems is very much what I do outside of work and even at work. Oh, at any point, if you have a question, you can either raise your hand or at the end, there's going to be time for questions as well. So how did I get to college? I was very lucky. I was enrolled in the school called the Pro School at UCSD. It's a school for low-income, first-generation college students. It pretty much prepares you and gets you on track to go to college. I had a lot of family support. My parents loved me. My aunts and uncles all loved me. But unfortunately, they didn't really know anything about college, what it is that you have to do, like how to apply, how to navigate your through that journey. So another thing that helped me a lot was being placed in a circumstance where it was easier for me to succeed than it was to fail. So an example is, my parents didn't go to college, they didn't know anything about that. It wasn't until maybe 11th grade probably that I started thinking that I was gonna go to college. Like, it was weird. I was never, like, my parents, my aunts, my family never really talked about college because we didn't understand it. We didn't know, like, there was nothing to talk about. So it's something that we never talked over dinner. And then in 11th grade, I was very lucky, and my parents were very smart to put me in this school where everyone around me was applying to colleges, studying for SATs, applying to scholarships. So I just did it because everyone else was doing it. So I was placed in a circumstance where it was very easy for me to succeed and very hard for me to fail. This is something that my parents put me in, and now when I'm either at work or outside of work, this is something I'm very aware of what situations am I putting myself? Am I putting myself in a situation to succeed or to fail? Work smart and work hard. So my thing about that is, again, I'm very lucky. I work at Apple, and there's brilliant people in the company, very smart. But I know that the people that stand out aren't really the smart people. They're the people that work really hard and get results. So to me, like, being smart is a little overrated because working hard is much more valuable in the real world. Yeah. No era mi escuela que me tocaba ir. Mis papás no sé cómo escucharon de esa escuela, pero ahí me apuntaron. No, es una escuela charter school. Tuve que aplicar, mis papás aplicaron para que yo entrara a esa escuela. Era del 6 al 12 y estaba dentro de la Universidad de San Diego. Okay, and the last part is exploiting your disadvantages. So, being low income, being first generation American, you can either think of it as in a bad way, a very positive way, which is what I did, where there's a ton of opportunities and programs like these that you can get involved in and take advantage of and be able to succeed in college and in life. I ended up going to Cal Poly. I got a full scholarship right over there. And it was, again, because I was exploiting my disadvantages. I applied to all the scholarships I could find. I got denied a lot, but I got enough to cover all my tuition, room and board, and part of a study abroad program as well. Oh, and the last thing I wanted to, someone showed me this at a very young age. I didn't get it at the time. Maybe you guys won't get it either, but I thought I'd show it to you guys. So what I have here in the bottom is a timeline. So here you're born. Average life expectancy is about 80 years old. And the period in life that you're in right now is probably somewhere in this little range. You might think you've lived, a very long life and you're grown up, because I used to think that too. But what I want to highlight is that what you do in this little portion of time will dictate how your life is for this entire part of your timeline. So the little work that you put here is really going to the results are going to be exponential if you think about it. So keep that in mind, have that sort of perspective, because I know it was hard for me. It's hard, I know it's going to be hard for you guys as well to kind of grasp that because you're only so old, but as you get older, I hope I understood this better because it would have helped me focus even more than I already did. Uh-huh. Cuando fui a la escuela, la escuela que fui, tenía mucha suerte que había muchos, and does everybody speak Spanish? Sorry, is that right? Cool? Yeah? No? So, maybe I'll do it in English, in Spanish? English? Yeah, so when I was, okay, all right. No, mi GPA en la escuela era como, creo que tenía una buena GPA, creo que cuando me gradué como 4.3, pero mucha de la razón de esa era porque tenía, la escuela que iba, había muchas clases que eran AP, so los grados de ahí, una B contaba por una A contaba por 5 puntos. Entonces yo cuando me gradué creo que tomé 8 o 9 AP clases, pero lo hice no porque quería, pero porque es la situación en la que estaba. Entonces me tocó mucha suerte de que yo ahora miro que era una oportunidad muy, muy buena, pero no era porque yo tenía siempre esa intención de tomar tantas clases. Me tocó mucha suerte y por eso mi porcentaje de mi GPA era bueno. So real quick, my GPA, I think when I graduated was around 4.3 or so. I can't remember honestly, but a big part of that was because I took so many AP classes, and I didn't take them by choice. I was in a school that you had to take AP classes. My senior year, I think I took 4 or 5 AP classes just because everyone else was doing that. So I was very lucky. I didn't do it on purpose. If you're not doing it now, don't feel bad because it's just whatever circumstance you're in. And even if you don't have that GPA, you can still make it work. So like engineering, my path to a career, how did I become what I am now? It was really hard. It's really hard to know what you love, what you're gonna do. For me, again, I was maybe in 11th grade when I started thinking about college, just because I saw friends, applying, which is crazy, but I didn't really think about it. And I think in senior year, when I had to apply, I had a really cool math teacher that was an engineer as well. And he asked me, like, well, what are you thinking of doing? And I said, I don't know. And I told him I like math, and I just got a computer that my dad bought me, and I like computers. So he just told me, well, you should probably be a computer engineer. I was very lucky to be in that situation. At the same time, I wasn't really exposed to anything because I don't have any family members that are engineers, lawyers, doctors, psychologists, historians. I don't really know what it was to not work, in construction or in factories. So I didn't really know. So my teacher just said, just do it. And sure enough, I applied to Cal Poly. My major was computer engineering. I went in probably a month in, quickly found out that it wasn't for me. Like computer engineering, I thought I'd be just, playing with computers because that's what I did in high school. But computer engineering is entirely different. It took me a month to realize that, and then I said, nope, this is not for me. I'm gonna switch. I tried electrical engineering because I had a friend and he was cool. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do electrical engineering because why not? I did that for about 2 semesters and then realized I didn't like that at all. And then finally, mechanical engineering, I picked it through a mutual friend of ours, to them and telling me what it was like. So that when I started kind of getting exposed to what these different fields actually meant in real life, that's when I was able to pick what I wanted to do. My recommendations for this is if you're very lucky and you already know something that you're very passionate about, by all means, go pursue it. I mean, it's very rare to have that. I wished I would have tried out more activities like these where I was exposed to different careers and different fields, so I could kind of understand what I wanted to do. And if you're not passionate about something, if it's completely normal. That's what happened to me. And my recommendation, I think what worked for me is find something that you're good at, and then find something that's very challenging, because what happens is as you're going through something challenging like becoming an engineer, it just sounded cool to me, it sounded hard, and I didn't particularly love it at first, but just by going through that experience and navigating that path and how hard it can be, you end up actually loving it. At first it's going to be really hard, and then you kind of get little wins here and there, and you start boosting your confidence, and eventually you end up loving that which you used to think was challenging, and that very much describes me right now. I completely love my job, but I had no idea I was going to love it back in high school. All right, so I made it to college. And up here, I have my little college hustle formula. It's very easy, very simple. It's 4 things only, guys. So all you got to do, and I'll talk a little bit more detail about all of these, it's self-motivation, good grades, extracurricular activities, and internships. And that's all you need. It's 4 things, and you'll be successful no matter what you do. I know it's a lot easier said than done, but it's at a very high level, that's all you got to do. Self-motivation is a big one, especially for me and especially for a lot of you guys out there, as you get higher in education, you start diverging from where your parents, like their educational background, at least for me. So it was very hard for my parents and my family to relate to my successes. I would get honors or dean's list, honor roll, all that stuff. They don't really understand what a GPA of 4.0 means. So when you tell them, hey, I got a 4.0, I did well on this test, they're not going to understand this reality. It's not because it's just the way it is. It's not their fault. So with that said, you have to be your own champion, and you have to learn to motivate yourself to do well. Don't do it for someone else. Try to figure out that, or realize that you need that inner you to recognize your wins and just keep being fueled by that instead of by these external means. Good grades, I mean, that's just, you just gotta get good grades. There's no excuse. You put in the work. You don't gotta be like that smart or genius to get good grades. It's just, you gotta put in the work and do it. Like there's no secret in that one. Extracurricular activities, that one is very important as well. To me, I was involved in the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers when I first got into college. That's where I met my wife, Rocio. I built a support system and of friends, which is where I met at City. It was a great place for me as I was learning to kind of motivate myself and how to do that. I was also building this support system that could also motivate me and help me on my way. So that's very critical. And when you have those 3 things, you apply to internships, and I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's easier to be able to get them. So when I was in college, I had 3 internships at Lockheed Martin. It's an aerospace company. I worked on all these 3 fighter jets, the F-22, F-35, C-5. I didn't work on the F-117, but I did get a chance to sit inside of it, which I thought was pretty cool. And then another cool story, I think I was a freshman in college when I got recruited by the CIA. And by the CIA. I had a year-long top high security clearance process that I had to go through. I had a private investigator down in San Diego, a private investigator up in San Luis Obispo in my college, just making sure that I was who I said I was. I passed that. They flew me out to Washington, D.C., to their headquarters. It's actually a pretty cool story. I won't go into the details of it. They flew me there. They did emotional tests, psychological evaluations, lie detector test. At the end, I didn't end up doing that, but it's just trying to give you guys an idea of when you do these 4 simple things, a lot of doors open up for you. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. So I didn't know either. I just I think once you start going to college, you obviously get summers off. Some students decide to take summer classes, but you can also work over the summer at a different company. These are called internships. Internships, they can last a summer, so 3 months only, just like the break in between schools, or they can be a little bit longer, 6 months up to a year, depending on the company. So it's very difficult and hard to get them your first year in because you're still fresh out of high school. There's not so many classes that you've taken for an employer to like really evaluate whether you'd be a good candidate or not. Once you're in your second year, I'd say that's the time to really apply to yourself and do your homework on the companies that you'd like to work in. Usually the college that you go to will have job fairs or college fairs where they accept both internships, so students over the summer, and also full-time jobs eventually. So internships is actually how I ended up getting at Apple. It's a great segue to get into a full-time position, and also just a great overall experience. Did that answer your question? Perfect. All right, so what do I do now in my career? So I'm a product design engineer. Here are the 4 products that I've worked on and I can talk about. Obviously, I can't talk about what I'm working now. So yeah, don't ask questions about that. When I first started at Apple, I worked on the first generation Apple Watch. It was pretty cool. It was my first time being in a place and everyone around me had all these prototypes of what the watch was gonna be, what it was gonna look like before anyone else in the world saw them. So I specifically worked on the design of the crown, the button, and then there's this little glass in the back, which is where your heart rate sensor reads through. I also worked on this little lanyard, Apple TV remote loop. Not too exciting, but it was really fun. Most recently, I was a designer for the AirPods and for the HomePod. So those are the products that I've worked on. I've been very lucky. I've all of these. I've been very blessed to hold patents in all these programs, to be able to say that a part of me and a part of this kid from San Diego that came from this community, this background is out there all over the world. I get a chance to travel all over the place and see all these products, and it's always great to see it out in the real world. So what exactly is it that I do? Obviously, like I said, I can't tell you guys what I do, and this computer mouse is not our next big thing. This is just from Google. But my job is there's 3 parts to it, 3 phases, and this depends on the product. These 3 phases can last as long as 1 year or 5 years. So at the start of every product, every life cycle, we're over at part 1. And what we end up doing brainstorming sessions. So what that is we get together and we start thinking of cool projects, cool ideas, cool products that could happen. We write them down, we all get together. We kind of disseminate, figure out which one is actually a good idea, which one is not, combine ideas. After we have a pretty good idea of what it is that we want to build or do, we go into a design phase. So this is when we use computer-aided design to do 3D modeling of that which is what we want to build. So it can be a chair, a table, a phone, AirPods. It could be anything. We modeled it in the computer. Once that's done, we build that which we just modeled. And to do that, there's different tools that Apple has. Apple pretty much has all the tools that you can imagine. We can 3D print stuff, we can machine stuff, injection mold, all sorts of different manufacturing ways to actually build what you just made in the computer or designed in the computer. After that, usually you build it, some sort of prototype, you just want to test it, see if it worked, see if it meets what you initially set it out to do. Sometimes you want to drop it and see if it'll open up and break, and that's not good. Sometimes you want to test it to see if a button works properly, if a camera works properly. It can really be anything. So you test it, you see what works, what doesn't work, and you kind of iterate. You go back to the drawing board, and you do this process a few times until you're finally at a part where the product, say the AirPods, you build one or two and you say, all right, well, this looks like a pretty feasible product, works pretty well, looks pretty good. So then we move over to phase 2, which is our prototype build. So these builds is essentially taking what we just built, like one or two or three products, and making thousands of them over in China. So for this, we usually get flown out overseas to oversee the manufacturing process of what we design. But there's a big difference between building one and building thousands. There's always variation in parts. There's always some operator doing something slightly different that's going to impact the product. So we get learnings that way. A lot of the times we're doing these builds where we make thousands of products and realize that there's an issue. So we go back to part 1, brainstorm, design, build, test, iterate a little bit, finally end up getting to back to a prototype build stage where we say, all right, we've made 2,000 to 3,000 of these products. They seem to work pretty well. And finally, we do a mass production build. So this is when we're pumping out like millions of products per day. And for this, they just take that single factory and they just multiply it by several factories. It's very high level, but that's essentially my job. So I'm not always in part 1. I'm not always in part 2. It just depends on what it is that I'm working that dictates the stage that I'm at. Travel. So I've been very blessed to travel a lot. These are all the places that I've been to. I think I just got back from Norway with my wife to check out the Northern Lights, which isn't here. But you know, I don't know. It's crazy to me. Like I put a little arrow where my parents came from to San Diego, and how the reach of my parents, of my family, has expanded exponentially just because of little things or the work that I put in school when I was growing up, and it's great to see that pay off. I've got a chance to be in Dubai, Thailand, all over Europe, Asia a ton. Overall, I've been very blessed and fortunate. I think that is all I had. So